Hello. So let's carry on here and quickly set up a few basic shaders and a geolight for our base shockwave, and we'll save the more fun effects for the next video. So for now, let's have a look and remind ourselves what we have. We do have the spheres here with our fake interaction attribute transfer of the color over there. So I was going to use that as a light. But before I do, let's quickly do a few mantras. One being the effect that the shockwave has on the environment. So we do want some EMP light. And in that we want everything, excluding the drone, I think. What we could do is maybe, let me just remove this from here and put in the drone, our decloaking drone, so we can include that in the render pass, and then switch off all lights and just have the light we're going to make. So that's the environment done. Then we want a new mantra. I'll just steal one of these for our shockwave sphere itself, and another one for the volume. So after this we'll have a renderable version of the environment with a light, and then both something, even if it's just an initial shader for now, for the sphere's actual surface, and the volume inside of that sphere being affected by the sphere's light. So in here we want the objects to be just the shockwave, and I'm going to, I'll exclude the drone from here for now, and maybe include the environment just so we can see how it looks all together. We can change all of this later on. And then in the volume, I just want the volume itself. Shock volume. Okay, so for starters, let's just do a quick shader for our sphere. So I'm going to use a shop net. Let's put in a surface shader builder and throw down a principled. I think I'll just go with a core, and we can set this basically. Do we need anything now? I think we just maybe make it 100% reflective there. Let's switch off anything else for now, that's fine. And then in our shock volume, I just need the most basic of volume shaders. It doesn't need to do anything special at all. It's going to be so low density that it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to put down a matte net, and let's see what volume we have. Volume shader core. So that just has density and emission. And I'll just go ahead and apply both of these quickly, and then we'll do a render test. Alright, so let's quickly start with the shockwave itself. So we'll want to make sure that it's reflective, so we get a separate reflection pass at least. And we'll probably want a mask, which we can do the same thing we did before and just export an AOV of the color attribute. And right now I'm not seeing anything. Oh, there's no lights on this one. Okay, so there's our current version of the shockwave. So that's not going to do much. Trying to decide usually between whether it should actually be transparent or the transparency should come from the comp is something quite important, because for starters, if we're expecting to use a normal pass for any reason, and right now I'm getting all the leftover stuff from the mantra I copied, but here's the normal, which I do want because as usual I will be using this pass over here in the normal to highlight our edges and add some depth attenuation feel over here. If that was semi-transparent, I would get a very difficult to use normal. So it might be that we end up rendering an actual solid sphere for this layer and then just make it transparent in comp. So let's just try and go full metallicity here and get it really shiny, because essentially until we go ahead and add some other interesting tweaks here for emission on the surface, the main thing we really need from it for now is the normal pass and then a highly glossy reflection pass. So do I get a roughness? Yep. So you see how that's super glossy? Just going to check my mantra settings quick. So I've got a limit of 1 there. Let's go with 2. So that's a little bit slow. But you can see there we'll get a very glossy pass that's reflecting the environment nicely and the sky as well. So once again, that's something we should balance in the comp, is how much of the reflection do we see and how much do we see directly through the sphere to whatever's happening on the inside. So that's good enough for now, and then ultimately we want the environment here to be a matte. Right, the next thing I wanted to do was just check that the volume is working, and then we'll set up the light. So let's change a few settings over here. We want the environment in as a matte. And I don't think we want all lights. So we can change that after we've done the light. And anything else, let's check the density. So it's actually, that's not too bad. I thought it was too dense, but it's actually not too bad. And I think that was just the default shader set to 1. So let's leave it like that for now. And that's all working fine. Let's just check over here. So let's drop the pixel samples there and switch off stochastic, because at this level of density there's just always going to be noise if we use stochastic. So I'll just switch that off. And if I come back to my shockwave, let's drop these samples down as well for now. Okay, so let's do a quick geolight from the sphere. So I do have this geolight null over there. and this should point to the actual null. Don't need anything there. I don't even know if we need or want any fall off. I wonder. Let's leave it at all default settings for now and just change the color. Okay, so we have a blue light, and technically the intensity of this light should be multiplied by the color, the point color on the surface. So only the bright parts of the sphere should be actually lighting up. So let's come back to our environment light and point the candidate lights to the EMP light here. Okay, while we're on the volume, we should check that. So single-sided is off, so that's good for now. We'll make sure that light's actually affecting the volume, which it is. So that's working fine, and the question is, do we get any variation in the intensity? And we do. If I add some contrast here, you can see it's brighter down at the bottom, which is where it will be interacting with the ground. And here is like a tree over here, so it's a little bit brighter there, and it's darker in the middle. So we are getting some information there. And if we just check the environment light, and that's got our drone in it as well. I'm going to take it off for now just to speed up our renders. I can see this is working already, so bear in mind we're just looking at the environment here with the EMP light only. So that's actually giving us not a bad result for a first attempt. So it is double-sided, so we need to make a decision there as well. But I think it makes sense. Well, that looks kind of cool as well. Let me switch off indirect in the contributions. So if it's single-sided, I'm not sure why there's so much light out here. And if I reverse this, there's absolutely no light in the middle. So I'm going to keep that double-sided for now anyway. And if we just check the attenuation settings over here. Ooh. So we definitely want that. The question is, do we want to limit the radius? And if we look at this now, we're getting so much nice light in the environment. I'm not sure we do want to limit that at this point. And let's just look at that with the sphere in there. So I'm just playing around at this point, making sure that our sphere has some kind of interaction element with the environment, which is the light. We have a volumetric inside, which is being affected by the light. Just laying the groundwork, basically. In the next video, we'll start playing around with some slightly more exciting effects. So we'll probably start with the electrical stuff we were looking at in the reference, and seeing what interesting things we can do with that. For now, I'm pretty happy with this. I'm going to knock this up a bit in the samples. And just in case, I will exclude the shockwave. I should be calling this EMP, I think. Okay, so I think that's good for now. We know we have a light. We know the shaders, the color, the point color on the surface is affecting the intensity of the light. The intensity looks not too bad actually. The color we can always tweak at any point, and we have that fog. So that will give us the depth. And I'm going to do a quick test, a few frames on. So now we're well and truly inside that fog, but there's not much light. So this fog at this point is only being lit by the EMP light. So I'm kind of interested in what happens when the new sphere appears. Yeah, so now the second one starts to light up all of that fog inside the first one, so that's pretty cool. The render times for this pass might get pretty heavy. It doesn't need to be a super high detailed render though, so we'll see what we can get away with. So let's leave this over here for now. And like I said, that's a pretty good place to stop and start on more of the secondary style effects for this. So I'll see you in the next video and we'll start with that.